Good afternoon. This is Shay. I'm waiting on Mary Barras. I'm running late. I had a wonderful morning, but it was just really full. Wrote a contract, sold a home. There is Mary Barras. And let's get her. Hey, Mixed Media.
Hey,
How you doing, Mary?
man, if I were any better, I'd have to be twins. It's all about what you say to yourself, right?
Okay. Well, Mary, I really do appreciate you taking this time to let me connect with you. I am just on a total vision quest to get as many people as possible connecting and talking about things that matter and make a difference. I know you have a tremendous story that I know that people would really benefit from hearing. And most importantly, I love that you have created something beautiful with the pieces of your life. Hey there, Mixed Media, Jill. So
Hi,
to start out, Mary, tell me what is like a big something that's happened in your life recently that you've been able to use to create something beautiful out of it. It's not necessarily beautiful, but you've been able to do something with it. Because people don't know your story and they don't know who you are.
Okay. I was born and raised in Port Arthur, Texas, and I'm the youngest of 8 children.
Ooh, big family.
Yes, ma'am. My mother wasn't well emotionally or mentally, and she had a really hard time raising us, you know. When I was born in August, I came home and she went to a mental hospital because she just couldn't handle number 8. She probably couldn't handle 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 either.
The same mother and same father for all 8 of these children. Wow.
Yep, Catholic family, you know how that is.
Do not believe in birth control.
No, ma'am. And my mother went to the priest after like number 5 and said, "I'm having a really hard time. Could I please get on birth control?" You know what he said?
What?
Nope, bro.
No, you cannot. Wow.
That's okay. That's all right. Yeah. Anyway, so in my mother's terrible illness, he took scissors to me when I was a baby and tried to kill me. And yeah, it was, I don't remember it, but.
How do you know it happened?
My sister told me, and the maids that took care of us and protected us from her. Okay.
I just got a phone call that I just declined. So you were told because you found out because your sister told you?
Yes, and then I called the maids that took care of us back in that time and asked them, and they said it was true, and did I have a scar on my arm? And I don't.
You don't have a scar on your arm?
Nope. And so, you know, my dad hired a maid to be there 5 days a week to take care of us and to protect me and us.
Wow. Yeah.
They were so amazing, these women.
Who were these women who took care of you? And it sounds like you are from a wealthy family, like that they were able to afford maids to come take care of the children. What did your father do?
He owned an industrial painting and sandblasting company. The big oil tanks that you see in refineries.
Sure.
They painted those, and he also had an offshore business where he painted and sandblasted and rust-proofed oil rigs out in the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
He worked very hard and he did well.
He did.
Yeah.
So getting to these maids that took care of you, in our private conversations on the side, you've told me a little bit about these women, and I've wanted to kind of hold back on what we dove into privately because I wanted it to be a natural unveiling here. So tell me about these women, who they were, and what they mean to you.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was named Lucy,
Mm-hmm.
and that she was there when I was a young baby. I don't know how old, until second grade, and I adored her. I mean, they loved me. They told me your mama would push you off of her, Mary, and I would come and take you, and I would love you, and you were my baby. And
You felt loved by these women?
I knew I was loved by these women.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
They saved me. They saved my life, potentially, and they saved my soul.
Oh, man.
I can't even tell you.
You know why I'm asking this question is, one, we now know that your mother attempted to take your life as a baby, which is horrific. I just want to say that's a horrible thing. And even though you don't have a scar, and even though you don't remember it, that has got to have created some sort of negative something in who you are because of that.
I believe in cellular memory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm really interested in is kind of how life does that, because I think, so there are people who could be listening to this and it's like, no, their mothers, their fathers never tried to kill them. So why is this something more than just a salacious story of hearing someone tell about their parent trying to take their lives? One is, I love to dive into the fact, and I have this question written down, of how these women showed up. For me, it's kind of amazing. It's like when there's a great deficit, a great amount of blessing kind of influxes into the world. So these women showed up at a crucial time in your life, and how you were talking about them in our private conversation sound very maternal. And I think you need to tell who these women are. You are a Southern white woman.
Yes.
And these ladies were
black
women.
I loved them so much. Yeah.
Who raised you?
Oh yeah, yeah. And my sister was 12 years older than me, and she was kind of charged with raising us too, which is really a bummer for her as a 7th grader, having to get up all throughout my night feedings.
Yeah.
But the first, Lucy, she was just my mama.
Yeah.
She was a black woman. I can still remember she had these round gold rimmed glasses, and she just did everything for me. They drove us around, they cooked, they cleaned, they mothered us. And I could tell them anything. You know, I was younger, and then after 2nd grade, Lucy quit because, and I was devastated, by the way. Lucy quit because, I think this is why, my dad was trying to have her sign off on committing my mother to a mental institution. And she said, I'm not getting in the middle of that. So then came, and I was.
Did your mother ever end up getting the help that she needed?
No.
And what was the experience that your siblings felt? Were they as equally loved on by Lucy or the other women?
Lily's the other one. They weren't like me. I just craved maternal love. You know, I just loved on them, hugged them. I followed them all around the house, talked to them while they're cleaning. And sometimes I'd play hooky from school so Lily and I could go up and play pool upstairs.
Sure.
We had so much fun. They were just my everything. And on the weekends, I would beg them to take me home with them. And sometimes they would, and they would take me to their African-American churches.
Ooh, that's a special thing, even for this black girl.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
I this is said half joking, but honestly, I identify as part black.
Okay.
Because, I mean, not
the culture fed you. The culture fed you.
They fed my soul. And I always say, white people don't have any business singing gospel music because they haven't heard black people sing gospel. you know?
It's pretty miraculous, that sound. And you know, so we are getting to kind of how this is all coming together in a beautiful way. But what is interesting to draw the correlation between the fact that you really love gospel music is something that I always talk about, like in my private life with my friends, is that sound of gospel music, that's birthed out of pain. That's not a sound that was birthed out of joy. That's a sound that's birthed out of not seeing your children again, knowing that they're sold off. That is a sound that's birthed out of the hot heat of a field in the summertime. That's the sound of not feeling like anything you'll ever do will come to be anything greater. That sound is pain. And it's amazing that if I take the lesson from just the gospel music that you love, what could be done with that pain? They created something called gospel. They created that soul sound that really is kind of the underpinnings to every musical force we have on this planet right now. That is kind of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what good has come out of my struggles and suffering. I honestly believe that God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, he, she, or it, had me go through these struggles, and my siblings went through them too, but everybody's different in how they.
This is your story I'm asking about.
Thank you. So they, I believe I was ordained to go through these sufferings, these traumas, so that I could come out the other side and tell people I went through. Here's a revelation that we'll probably talk on in a minute. Both my parents took their own lives. One in 89 and one in 1999.
Does that ever make you scared?
It used to. But to be honest, you know, people have asked me, several people, Mary, do you ever feel suicidal? And I don't. You know what I have, you know, in the past when I was in this deep, dark depression for years.
I need you to tell me about that. I don't know much about that.
Well, I lost both my parents to suicide. I lost my brother-in-law to suicide. He was like a brother to me. I knew him since I was 10 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And then our first baby, Joshua, was 3 months old. He had Down syndrome. He never got to come home from the hospital, and he died at just short of 3 months old. And when that happened, Shay, I broke.
Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, it seems to me like you had a lot of heartache. You know, I always say there's only so much, you know, like our cups are only so big. And you had a lot of heartache being poured into your cups and into your cup. At a certain point, it had to give. The bottom had to fall out, right?
And it did. And at the same, right after we lost Josh, we got a divorce. And, you know, after that, well, I was very depressed when I was married too. It was a very unhappy marriage. But
it seems, to be honest, in your defense, I don't know how it could have been a happy marriage. I mean, I think you had a lot of things and I don't know, were you seeking counseling at this point? Were you in therapy? Yes, were you on medicine? I don't know, but it seems like there was a lot of things that were contributing to it not being a happy place.
Yeah, on both sides.
I'm sure.
I get counseling. I'm on 2 antidepressants. One of my missions is to assuage the perception that antidepressants are bad. Yeah. I love them. They're delicious.
Right. If they save your life, they save your life.
But
what are we talking about?
On the subject of being suicidal, no, I never felt suicidal. But you know what I did, Shay? I felt sleepicidal is what I call it.
Ooh, break that down. What does that mean?
I couldn't wait to go to sleep every night. I would drink alcohol. I abused alcohol, and I would just drink my sorrows. I had this obsession with going out in the backyard, making a fire in the fire pit, drinking wine, listening to music, and crying for hours.
That was your coping mechanism. I mean, it
was.
may not have been very effective, but that was your coping mechanism.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, it's what we do. So
Right.
kudos to that girl who was just trying to make it happen with what she had in her pocket.
Yeah. And then, so the sleepicidal thing, I would go inside and I would lie in bed and I couldn't get to sleep. I mean, I was just like this, you know, I just couldn't settle down. So I would take a sleeping pill on top of that alcohol.
Okay, Marilyn Monroe. Right? I think that was her issue, right? I think.
Listen,
I don't know.
Praise God, he protected me.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that lets me know that I'm ordained to do this, because I didn't die. You know?
Yeah.
And still sometimes I couldn't get to sleep. I was just so distraught.
So tell me, at what point did you go, I need to get help? And how did you get that help?
It took so long. It was one step forward, two steps back.
Why?
And I finally got on the right antidepressant, Shay. I was on one for years, and my psychologist would say, well, how's the med? And I'd say, fine, I guess. I mean, I forgot what it felt like to feel happy.
Oh.
So I would just say, fine, you know.
And your psychiatrist didn't try to work with those meds or your levels or anything?
He went with what I told him. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know. And finally.
But you weren't happy. You were not happy. You were still were you still self-medicating by the fire pit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're on antidepressants. You're telling your psychologist that you are fine.
Yeah.
You are still self-medicating because you, in fact, are not fine.
Right. But I didn't know it because I forgot. Okay. So what I got on.
How did you go from there to go, okay, this is untenable. I need help. I'm asking this question because there will be people who will hear this.
Exactly.
How do you go from that
message.
Point to get to the help?
Yeah. Thank God I have some sort of vanity, because I read somewhere that the specific antidepressant that I was on causes weight gain. Ooh. So I call being I'm not that vain, but I have some, self-pride. Yeah. I called the doctor and said, is it true? And he said, yes. I said, well, let's get on another one because I'm not even sure I'm happy.
Right.
And so
if I'm going to get fat, at least let me be happy while I'm getting fat, right?
Thank you, my sister.
I get it.
Thank you. And so we went to another one. It didn't work. And he said, okay, corrections. And so we got on, Cymbalta. That's what it's called. And it changed my life.
It changed your life.
It made the grass greener. It made the food tastier.
Let me get on some Cymbalta. Kidding. I'm joking. No. The takeaway is that the takeaway isn't so much the name. The takeaway is that you had a process to get to the medication that worked for you, and you kept going until you found something that worked for you. And it may not work for the other person, but you had to get to something that worked for you, that gave you, because you know what? If we're going to have life, we need to have joy. We need to. That's our birthright.
Praise God. Praise God. And, so when I got my mind right, so to speak, from the medicine, that's not all. But wait, there's more. I started seeking.
Like Ron Popeil.
Girl, I love you. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
I started, once I got my chemical levels right, and I could see above the side of the pool.
Oh, yes.
And I could, my head was finally out of the quicksand, yes. I could see now. I started seeking help, betterment, just tiny bits. And this is what I speak about as a motivational speaker. I have steps that I used to get better, because my message is devastation is a choice. And my very first counselor told me that back after my mother died.
Okay, so pause. I want to play the devil's advocate here. Okay, so devastation is a choice. It's easy to say that. I'm thinking about that person who's in their home today and who feels like they are 10 feet below the surface. And they felt like that for some time. And just like you, they've forgotten what it ever felt like to even be happy or to know joy. Like it seems to be some ethereal concept that they kind of remember in the way distant past of their life.
I can relate.
How does that person hear devastation is a choice? How does that person hear that? And what do they do with that?
My counselor, Dr. Johnson, God rest his soul, probably. He was an older guy when I started seeing him in '89.
Okay.
He said, Maddie, meet to you. He's from Ireland. I won't try to do the Irish accent, but he
That's
said,
all right.
He said, bad things happen, and you can mourn them, and you can grieve them, and you can fall apart.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to say, this was terrible. This was horrifying. All these things were, but I'm not going to let it devastate me. There's a difference between suffering and grieving and mourning and devastation.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose not to be devastated.
And what does devastation mean to you?
Devastation to me means ending it all.
Mm.
Because that's my past experience of what people do.
I get it. So devastation to you means like complete end of life. I cannot take it any longer.
Yeah.
Suicide is the only way out.
Yeah. Or like you snap and you've got to be committed to a mental institution where you have no sense of reality anymore.
Mm.
You know, those, for me, and it could be different for everyone. For me, that's what devastation means.
I needed to know what it meant for you, and I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, that's what it means. I don't mean to tear up. Sorry.
You do not apologize for being human and feeling things that humans feel.
I'm a very feeling person. I'm a feeler, and
Well, that's a good thing.
Empathic.
That's a good thing.
I mean, yeah.
You never have to apologize for being human and for having a human response.
Oh, I'm
I cannot imagine what it would feel like if both of my parents had taken their lives. Just the fear that I would have taken on my own. I remember learning that my mother's mother died when she was 28 years old. And for some reason, I latched on to that. And she died of she was an epileptic, and she had a seizure in the privacy of her own home with her 1-year-old baby laying on the bed next to her. That 1-year-old baby was my mother. And so my mother never knew her mother. And for some reason, I latched on to this early death of my grandmother. And I feared so badly that I would die young. I remember that. I remember fearing it and fearing like this was my future. This was mine, locked and loaded, and there was nothing I could do about it. And it was a private fear that no one knew about it. The only person I ever uttered the words to, pardon me, was my mother. And she helped me so great. So the reason why I'm saying that is I remember where I was when I turned 28. I was in Korea, and I was scared crapless that I would die in Korea and they would have to try to get my body back to the Bahamas. And so I did all of this over a grandparent who I'd never met before. I'd made this connection. So I'm saying this, how powerful it is that you had two parents who've committed suicide, and what type of fear mantle laid over your shoulders, sister. That's a serious fear mantle.
Yeah, I never feared being suicidal, though.
That's amazing.
I have siblings who have not fared that well. Praise God, all of us are still alive, but there have been attempts. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was sleepicidal. But the stuff that came after getting on the right medicine was...
And that's what I want people to hear. There are right medicine choices. Even if you're someplace right now where the connection is not happening and you're not feeling better, don't stop trying. Don't stop knocking. Don't stop telling people you're not well. Don't stop.
Because I have 6 close friends from high school, and I was too proud to call them and say, SOS.
Yeah. I think
I
a
didn't
lot of
want
us
them to feel sorry for me or think badly of me.
Yeah.
But that was dumb. That was dumb. Okay. So, when I got my head above the sand,
Yes.
I reached out again to friends and started trying to make my connections again. I've been on this word connection for so many years. And, right now, everything's about connection. Thank God, and I love this word. I love this concept. And it's just, it feeds me. It brings me joy. I reached out to get counseling. I reached out to my friends. I sought role models, say from social media and from TV or anywhere. So from my friends, I sought role models, and I started
people who are living a life that you wanted to live.
You know what?
And seem to have the skill set to do so.
Yeah. I remember seeing people on Instagram, and they were laughing, and they had my same sense of humor. They're called Cat and Nat, and they're a mom duo, and they put out a whole bunch of funny stuff and a whole bunch of stuff that says you're not alone. And watching them laugh and joke around, and they had my same sense of humor, which is just a little bit naughty at times. Ding. And I thought to myself, I used to act like that. I used to laugh like that.
They gave you hope. They gave you hope of what could be for you.
They made me remember myself. And and other people on social media too, I watched how now some of it's BS. You and I know that, Shay. Not everybody's life on Instagram is how.
No, most of the lives don't look like that. It certainly doesn't look like that 100% of the time. It may look like that like 10% of the time. But like if I just move this picture a little bit, you'll see the mess that's over there.
Girl, right.
It looks really great right here, though.
Right here is my clean laundry that's saying, fold me. And I'm like, no. I have better things to do. I got to talk to Shay. But, I remembered laughing. And, I'm a joker. I love to make people laugh, and I love for people to make me laugh. And it just brought back, I remember that. I hadn't had that in years.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I say is get out and move. I'm not saying join a gym. I think my website says that right now, but I've been trying to get that taken off because that's not one of my steps.
You're just saying get out and move your body, move it.
Yeah. If you have the gumption to join a gym, I certainly didn't, and I still haven't, but I have an elliptical right here. But
nice. That's elliptical in the corner.
Hey, it's been a while. Love you. No, I've been walking with the dogs, but
that's awesome.
Just to move your body, just take a walk.
Yeah.
And I had social anxiety. Force yourself to get out, and you tell your friend, let's meet for coffee. I may have to excuse myself and go home before the coffee's even cold. Warn them, I may not be able to handle staying out for a whole cup of coffee. And if you have the right kind of friends, they'll say, no problem, babe, I got you.
Yes.
And
go ahead.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think of my
to be honest, I think these are like 5 really great steps. What I have is, and there's just a couple more things that I want to ask you, and then I will let you have your afternoon.
No,
but
girl, I'm enjoying this.
But one of the
Because we
things,
still do have stuff to talk about.
yeah. So you talked about, you know, the 5 steps that I hear. Hey, I'm in the middle of a life that is falling apart.
Yeah.
I am not mentally or emotionally well.
Right.
Have no fear. 1, keep trying out medications until you get to where you need, because you had forgotten that there was even a possibility of hope in your world,
I
right?
don't remember what it felt like.
So what I hear is that keep working with your doctors till we get to what you need that makes you that allows you to have joy, because
Yes.
joy is your birthright.
Ooh, yes, girl.
2, start reaching out to friends and people and making connections, human connections, because the truth is we need each other.
Absolutely.
3, you started reaching out for counseling, and but I'm hopeful that you kind of already were in counseling that would have even allowed that to kind of come up.
I've been on and off in counseling for 40 years.
Which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Healthy people go to
It's a
counseling.
luxury.
And then you sought out role models, people who were living a life that gave you hope,
Yeah.
that it could be better for you. And what I loved is when you said you saw people and it helped you remember who you were. That is a powerful thing. And then you get out and move. You force yourself to get out, get yourself in social situations. And also the thing that I really loved is you pre-warn your friends. Hey, and let them know your limitations.
Yeah.
And people who are there for you understand your limitations and give you grace.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So I love that.
Thank God I have wonderful friends. I'm rich in friends. My son asked me when he was little, Mom, are we rich? I said, you bet your sweet little patootie, we're rich in friends. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love it.
Yeah.
So right before I went into this, you said, Shay, there's some other things I want to talk. What is something that's pressing on your heart that you'd like to talk about?
Well, Port Arthur, Texas is a small place. It's it's right near the Gulf of Mexico, east of Houston. And I grew up in a racist town. And, you know, out of ignorance, I don't even want to say I was racist, because that's not where my heart was. That was so opposite of my inner being, but I played the part.
Yeah.
Because everybody else did. Not everybody else. Everybody from Port Arthur.
Which is a common part of your world.
Yes.
Is what you're letting us know. Yeah, that's all right.
And I used the N-word.
Thank you for sharing that.
I used the N-word. And I want to say to all of my beautiful, wonderful African-American girlfriends and friends that I went to high school with, and any others that I've ever known in my life, I got out of Port Arthur and I learned better. I was ignorant before.
Yeah.
When you know better, you do better.
It's true. That Maya Angelou. And it's true. So here's what I'm hearing you say, though, is, you know, when our worlds are so small, and you can lay that over racism, you can lay that over lack of mental health. When our worlds are so smart, they don't allow us to know there are options, that there are other ways to be, right? So you could stay like locked into unhealthy mental health and not know that there's ever a time that you could even have joy again in life. You could stay locked into your little town or wherever you are and never think that that anybody who looks differently than you has value. So that there's value always in expanding and connecting with others. There's always value in that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's not just value, there's enrichment.
Yes.
That's
it. It changes your life. It makes you a better human being.
Yes.
And it gives you greater, it's kind of like, you know, when you go to a really great restaurant and the food is so multi-textured and layered with flavors and smells. That's because of all of the many different things. It's definitely much better than like your fast food joint where you get like your cold hot dog. And so it's the layers of all of the things that go into the differences that I think make it better, which is the same thing in mental health. Honestly, you couldn't just stop. You had to keep going. It's imperative that we speak on mental health. Right now, there are so many people who are locked in their homes.
Oh, yeah.
Locked in their homes. There are a lot of people who felt depressed before COVID-19. and feel
Yes.
even more depressed right now. And so
Yes.
what I'm trying to do is get into that living room, get into that space wherever they are on their phone, and just let them know there is a way out. There is
There's
a
a
way
way
out.
out.
Even if
I
the
did
medicine
it.
you've been taking, how old were you by the time you did get corrected medicine?
Like 5, 6 years ago.
Okay, this is huge.
Five.
I,
I'm gonna
this is
say.
5 years ago. So, Mary Barras, do you mind sharing how old you are? I want people
I'm
to hear
54.
this. So,
I'm
54.
54.
So you were in your late 40s and had been seeking medical help, seeking counseling help, and had not arrived at the mixture that you needed.
No.
So there's hope. Whoever's out
praise
there
God.
and you still feel depressed and you
Yeah.
haven't stumbled on the right medicine, that doesn't mean that
Yes.
life does not have joy for you in the future, right?
There are probably hundreds of antidepressants, and just talk, assess yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Try to remember times in the past when you were okay. What did you do, and how did that make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And try to get back into that mind and heart space,
Mm-hmm.
and then assess yourself. Am I there now? If the answer is no, you can put it on a scale. If the answer is 5, that needs some improvement. If the answer is 0, get help. If the answer is 9, my answer was 0. And so, you've got to try and say to yourself, ask yourself, how do I feel anyway?
Yeah.
And my answer was, I feel shitty.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel terrible.
That's real. That's real.
And
what's really real too, though? Every of the steps that you gave, every one of them revolves around connecting. Every one of them revolves around other human beings.
That's my deal.
And that's what's really important right now. So people who feel kind of locked into their world, reach out to somebody that somebody that loves you.
Yeah.
It's imperative. That's at least the first start. If I can't even pick up the phone to call a counselor, a therapist, at least I can find a way to reach out to somebody who knows me and loves me.
Yes, please do that. Don't be proud. I was proud. I was too proud. But, I believe what Mother Teresa said. I don't know the exact words. She was much more eloquent than I. She said, wherever you are is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So during all that time, maybe I needed to suffer for that long so that I would feel this passion that I have to spread the word to people who will listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. I got myself out of 5 tragedies. I got myself through them, not over them, but I got through them. And Lord knows, there'd be a lot of people. I am going to pat myself on the back. I was about to say I'm not going to pat myself on the back by saying that I got through it, but I am patting myself on the back.
Yes.
And it was hard work. Hard work, man.
So the work is hard.
The work is hard.
But there's a wonderful result at the end of the work. The hardest thing is to think that you're going to work forever and there's no results. But what you're saying is, the work is hard, but on the other end, I think you would say that would you categorize yourself as a happy person?
Joyful. Happy. I think there's a difference between happiness and joy. I believe that happiness is the result of something happening. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Joy, sometimes I just feel joy for no reason.
It's in.
And I just think, what made me feel like that? And then I say, I don't know. And I'll tell my son, I just had a moment. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you.
Mary Barras, I'd like to ask you if you could say something to that self of yours. You're 46 years old. What would you say to 46-year-old Mary Barras who is struggling?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to her?
I would say, Mama Bear, just know that there's a rainbow at the end, man. What you got to do is pick yourself up and know that all of these things were tremendously taxing, difficult, traumatic. but you're going to be a bigger woman, a bigger human at the end of this than you ever imagined. I mean, people have asked me, are you back, Mary? And I say to them, I'm nowhere near where I was before I suffered for all that. I'm so much farther ahead. I have such a perspective on life. And, you know, one of the things I've learned is let stuff go. You know, I tell my, I keep mentioning my son because he's my only one and he's my world. I said to him, you know, I want to teach you a life lesson right now. If you want something and the person you're with wants something different, ask yourself, how important is this to me?
Yeah.
And if it's, and then answer yourself honestly. And then if it's not that important, say, that's fine. We'll go with your way. It's not a huge deal to me.
Just let a lot of stuff
go. Sometimes we get into the power thing and the having your way thing.
So what you're saying is you would have told a younger version of yourself, like, essentially, I see that you're going through all these hard things, but it's going to be all right. You will be stronger and better when it's over.
1,000%.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, Mary Barras.
I couldn't be more grateful about all of it. And I'm still recovering. I'm still learning, and I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm a student of people.
Yes. What would you say your life looks like today? What would you say? How would you describe your life to someone who doesn't know the inner workings of your world?
I would say, dude, get on this train. Let's have some fun. I love to laugh. I will make you laugh. I will bring joy to you. I want to enrich your life, and I want you to enrich mine. Let's have some fun. Let's connect. Let's talk about stuff that's ridiculous. Let's talk about stuff that's real. Let's talk about stuff that's meaningful. You know, and along the way, let's be redonkulous and laugh our heads off at ourselves.
Yeah. Mary Barras, you're awesome. I just want you to know the takeaway that I know that people who did listen and who know people who have been in the same energy space and emotional spaces that you have held in the past, you gave us some hope, right? Because you're on the other side of it, Mary Barras.
Yes, praise God.
And what you've told us, the central thing to all of your points to get out of the hole is connecting.
That's
is
right.
Connecting with other human beings. Do not be there alone.
Right.
I mean, I cannot stress how thankful I am that you shared this space with me and that you shared your very tumultuous and painful bits of your life and your heart with me. I really do appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. It was my honor to be with you, Shay.
You are awesome, Mary Barras. Well, I am going to save this so that people could see it in the future.
That would be great.
I'm going to call you when I get off of this call here, Mary Barras.
Okay, I love you, Shay.
I love you. Bye. Bye.